Welcome to PROUT Study Circle Program. This video is intended for PROUT Study in the Philippines. Our today's topic on Session 2 is about poverty and the significance of PROUT, which mainly focus in the Philippine setting. Why are Filipinos poor? What can we do to prevent this adversity in the future? Is it still possible? How? What is poverty? Poverty is a state of deprivation that affects an individual's ability to fulfill basic needs like food, shelter, clothing, healthcare, and education. It often results in poor living conditions, social exclusion, and a lack of access to opportunities. In the Philippines, 18.1% of the population lived below the national poverty line in 2021. In the Philippines, the proportion of employed population below $1.90, or 105 Philippine pesos, purchasing power parity a day in 2022 was 2.2%. For every 1,000 babies born in the Philippines in 2021, 26 died before their 5th birthday. What is the main reason for poverty in the Philippines? Poverty in the Philippines has been linked to bad governance, corruption, and a political system dominated by political dynasties. The country's poorest provinces are ruled by political dynasties. Natural disasters have exacerbated poverty in the Philippines. What are the causes of poverty in the Philippines? Poverty in the Philippines is a complex issue with multiple interconnected causes. These causes can be broadly categorized into economic, social, and political factors. It's important to note that these factors often interact with and reinforce each other, making poverty a persistent problem in the country. Here are some of the key causes of poverty in the Philippines. 1. Low income and unequal distribution of wealth. A significant portion of the population in the Philippines earns low wages, often in the informal sector. The country also faces a significant wealth gap, with a small percentage of the population controlling a large share of the wealth. 2. Unemployment and underemployment. High levels of unemployment and underemployment are major contributors to poverty. Many Filipinos struggle to find stable and well-paying jobs, leading to income instability. 3. Lack of access to quality education. Limited access to quality education can trap individuals in a cycle of poverty. Without adequate education and skills, it is challenging for people to secure better job opportunities. 4. Inadequate healthcare services. A lack of access to healthcare services, particularly in rural areas, can lead to poor health outcomes and high medical expenses for families, pushing them further into poverty. 5. Corruption and poor governance. Corruption and weak governance can hinder economic development and exacerbate poverty. Misallocation of resources and lack of transparency can limit the impact of poverty alleviation programs. 6. Natural disasters. The Philippines is prone to natural disasters such as typhoons, earthquakes, and volcanic eruptions. These disasters can devastate communities, destroy livelihoods, and worsen poverty. 7. Rural-urban migration. Rural-urban migration often leads to overcrowded urban areas with inadequate infrastructure and services. Many rural migrants struggle to find stable employment in cities. 8. Lack of access to basic services. Limited access to clean water, sanitation facilities, and electricity can have a profound impact on living conditions and overall well-being. 9. Weak social safety nets. The Philippines has social assistance programs, but they often fall short in reaching the most vulnerable populations. There is a need for more effective and comprehensive social safety nets. 10. Armed conflict. Areas affected by armed conflict, such as Mindanao, often experience higher poverty rates due to displacement, destruction of infrastructure, and limited economic opportunities. 11. Population growth. The high population growth rate in the Philippines can put pressure on resources and make it more challenging to provide adequate services and employment opportunities for all. Addressing poverty in the Philippines requires a multifaceted approach that includes economic reforms, investment in education and healthcare, improved governance, disaster preparedness, and social welfare programs. Additionally, efforts should be made to promote inclusive growth and reduce income inequality. It's important to recognize that tackling poverty is a long-term endeavor that requires coordinated efforts from government, civil society, and the private sector. Significance of PROUT. PROUT has been proposed as a potential solution to poverty in the developing world. According to the PROUT, poverty is a result of the exploitation of resources by a small minority, leading to an unequal distribution of wealth and opportunities. PROUT advocates for a more equitable distribution of resources, with a focus on providing basic necessities such as food, shelter, and education to all. PROUT's approach to poverty reduction is based on the following principles. 1. Decentralized economy. PROUT advocates for decentralized economic planning to ensure local self-sufficiency and reduce regional disparities. The idea is to empower local communities to make decisions about their economic development, resource utilization, and distribution of wealth. 2. Maximum utilization and rational distribution of resources. PROUT emphasizes the efficient and rational use of resources to meet the basic needs of all individuals. The focus is on maximizing the utilization of resources for the common good and ensuring a fair and equitable distribution of wealth. 3. Cooperative enterprises. PROUT promotes the establishment of cooperatives and self-reliant economic units, where workers collectively own and manage businesses. This approach aims to eliminate exploitation and ensure that the benefits of economic activities are shared more equitably among the participants. 4. Minimum and maximum limits on wealth. PROUT proposes setting minimum and maximum limits on individual wealth to prevent extreme disparities. The idea is to create a more egalitarian society where wealth is not concentrated in the hands of a few. 5. Progressive taxation. PROUT supports a progressive taxation system where those with higher incomes contribute a larger proportion of their earnings to support social welfare programs. This revenue is then used to fund education, healthcare, and other essential services. 6. Cultural and educational development. PROUT recognizes the importance of cultural and educational development in addressing poverty. Investments in education, skill development, and cultural activities are seen as essential for creating a well-rounded and empowered citizenry. 7. Spiritual values. PROUT incorporates spiritual and ethical values into its economic and social framework. It emphasizes the importance of moral and ethical conduct in individual and collective decision-making, aiming to create a society that values the well-being of all. It's important to note that PROUT is a relatively niche theory and has not been widely adopted on a global scale. Critics argue that its implementation could face challenges, and some of its principles may be seen as idealistic or impractical. Nevertheless, proponents of PROUT see it as a comprehensive framework for addressing poverty and creating a more just and sustainable society.